What is going on, guys? Freak here from the channel of Frost and Fist, and we'll welcome you to this showcase. Really excited about this showcase. Really excited about this showcase. English. Because it's my Centurions, and I've finished them. I am done. So stoked how they come out. They are turned out beautifully. Love how they turned out, and they turned out the exact color scheme, paint, everything how I was hoping they would. So really like them. Hope you like them as much as I do. Put a lot of work into them. Took my time. I didn't rush these because I wanted them to look good, at least for me. So without further ado, let's talk about this real quick. So I have been sitting on these Centurions for quite a while, right, before I even bothered to assemble them, mainly because I was scared to death. I've seen a lot of gorgeous work done by other YouTubers that have done an amazing job on Centurions, especially Imperial Fists. They've been okay. So the Centurions have been out for a long time by GW, and a lot of guys have done some great work, great work. So all I did was just taking some of my favorite YouTubers' techniques, and I incorporated my own painting style. Sorry guys, I got sinuses. And I went ahead and I did it. I did it. I put it together, painted them, and I think they've turned out gorgeous. You might see me a little upheaval, kind of a little scruffy around the edges, is because I am enjoying my very first day off PTO. I have not had time for myself except, taking PTO because I'm sick. I'm tired of that. So I'm taking PTO for me. This whole week I'm off. So really enjoying my week. All right. My daughter's actually dusting. Anyway. So got to finish my Centurions. Of course, I did them in the color scheme that I really wanted them, which primarily was yellow with black trim, especially around the shoulder pads, like the little trim in the shoulder pads. I wanted them to match my my Redemptor Dreadnought. I'll link that into in a card. I think it's going to be there. Anyway, I'll link that so you guys can check it out. And I loved how it turned out because, most of my Imperial Fist stuff is yellow with red trim. My Redemptor Dreadnought is yellow with black trim. And I think it looks great. So my Centurions, I wanted to be a little similar to that, except that I wanted to have more of the red as well. So I did the black trim around the shoulder pads, and the red Aquila, however you want to pronounce it. Anyway. Let's get to it so you can see what I'm talking about here. Here you go, guys. They are done. Again, I think they look great. And I wanted to emulate what I did on my Primaris Lieutenant. My Primaris Lieutenant, I did a non-metallic look. You can see here a lot of the highlights towards the center of the legs and where you would expect sunlight or any light to hit, while casting shadow on the inner parts and just slightly on the outer parts of the leg, right? Underside, while the upper is all very cold colors, and underneath it's warm. Well, same thing with these guys. You can see I did the highlighting towards the center and then shading on the inner, right? To kind of definitely give that non-metallic look. I think it looks really good. The only difference is that I chose more of a starburst shade instead of the tobacco look, this dark look. Although I do love this. I love how this turned out. I just wanted this look. I love this transition from the yellow, bright yellow, to a reddish brown, because I've always been a fan of the yellow orangey fist, not the canary fist. I think that's what was my biggest disappointment, is that my Primaris Lieutenant looks a little more canary, but what helps it is the fact that it has a little shading to break down that transition. And same thing with my Redemptor Dreadnought. I brought it down to a warmer color based on the shading that I've used. But I wanted these bad boys to really, really, really look awesome. And so I used more of a warmer color. I know no grays, no blacks, except for the trim. I used a red with a brown. Really helps with that. Okay. So as you can see, did a lot of the edge, or a lot of the highlighting and a lot of the warm shading on the edges. So what I did was I did a Kenny Boucher style, right? I went ahead and primed the models a dark gray. I have Vallejo gray, but it's a very bright gray, so I use a dark gray. And then I just primed the whole thing, primed everything, right? Sprayed down. And then I took a reddish brown and I just sprayed the edges, sprayed the sides of the legs, right at the top here. Everywhere I felt where I believe needs to be a shadow, I put it there, right? So I put it up here by the waist, right at the waist guard, the hip guards here, underneath the gauntlets, you know. Everywhere I thought there should be a shadow, that's where I put it. Also put a little shadow, a little shading towards the bottom of the shoulder pads, as you can see. Then I took a bright white, and I just brightened the heck out of this center to give it a nice burst, you know. So I brighten it as much as I can, brighten the very top as well. Also on the top side of the gauntlets, give it a nice brightness. Okay, and then that's when I went crazy. I just went and got my my Vallejo gold. What's it called? Yellow gold yellow. That's what it is. Gold yellow. And I just layered the whole thing down. Took me about 3 coats to finally get the right consistency, because that gold yellow is very translucent, and so which works great, especially if you're doing shading and highlighting. That way that those tones actually kind of permeate through the paint. But this actually turned out really well after a couple of coats. As you can see here, you can see how beautifully those transitions come through within that paint. Also did a lot of edge highlighting. Let me bring it up a little closer so you guys can see. I used a couple different brushes when I do that. I use Army Painter. I don't remember the tip size, but I do know it's a long but very thin brush bristle that I use, and that gets me right at the inside to be able to do some straight edge highlighting. I'm horrible at edge highlighting, guys. I really am. I get a shaky hand, and I get sausage hands. So kind of rough to do it. But I think having a good brush helps a lot. It steadies your hand a little bit as well. So I did the edge highlighting on the helmets, and you can see around the chest plates, around the gauntlets, right around the hip guards, and even around the knee and shin guards and the feet, or whatever, feet pads, and even like on around the fingers, just to kind of break apart that transition for each element on their suit. I think it turned out really nicely. The gold, I gotta admit, I'm gonna say it right here, I have not worked with a better gold than Citadel's Gain Gold. I use Vallejo on just about everything. Vallejo and some of the cheap paints that I get, like from Hobby Lobby, because they work great. They have a great tone, and I use a lot of them. But I'm going to tell you, as far as metallics come with gold, Citadel's got them beat. The only thing I don't like about it is that they're goopy. They have a horrible shelf life. So never fails, when I go get some Gainus Gold, I'll pop it open, and there it is. It's like goopy. But still, I thin it down, and it got a good warm gold look. Love that gold. As you can see here, I did use a lot of gold. These are very majestic, very royal looking suits. I just wanted to, I wanted them to look really cool. So as you can see, these guys have it, of course, a lot of metallics here and there. We'll talk to you about the metallics here in just a minute. But you can see the gold, like here on this, the skull and wings, the gold that I used, I based it with the Gainus gold, and then I went back with a brighter gold, which is the game color set from Vallejo for airbrushing, and it is a very bright gold, so I highlighted with that. So you can see on the inside it's nice and rich, on the outside it's bright. The skull I used, of course, Kenny Boucher's technique, ancient Chinese secret. Painted dark brown. I used smoky ink by Game Colors, and it gives that dark, rich brown, kind of with a red tint to it. And then I went back with what is it? Not dead white, bone white from Vallejo Game Air, and layered very thin layers, and just did layer after layer after layer to allow that deep, rich brown to permeate through that, to give it a natural shading. And that's exactly what it did. You can see the skull, the sockets, they're still really dark. A lot of the recesses of the cheek where the shadow should be, again, it's all natural, and it turned out absolutely great, man. I'm so loved how that turned out. You can see the transitions really nicely here in this close-up of the shading, right, from the bright yellows down to that starburst look. You can see it more so around the torso where there's shadows, the shadow being casted, and on the inside of the legs. I think it turned out really cool. Edge highlighting's more visible here as well. So let's talk about the metallics, right? So I use different types of metallic paints. I use the Vallejo Game Color Chrome and Jet Exhaust and Gold. So the gold, as you can see, I use it with the Gainus Gold. I base it with Gainus Gold, and I go back with the airbrush Vallejo Gold. It's very thin, but it's very bright, so I kind of highlight it as well. The chrome, as you can see here on the joints, the chrome is very bright. It is super bright. Not something that I wanted to use on any other metallic portions of the model, but I did mix it up with the jet exhaust, because jet exhaust, it's really dark. So I mixed a little bit of the chrome in it to kind of lighten it up a bit, and I got this. I've got the heavy bolters, right? That metallic, the good metallic look, that gunmetal look. I do a lot of mixing of my own paints. I'm completely out of lead belcher and all that other stuff. I haven't used those in probably a year or so. I mix what I have and I make it work, right? And so that's what I did with the Hurricane bolters as well, and with the ammo boxes here on the heavy bolters. Give you a little backside view. And there's my stupid dogs. Of course they're gonna act out. Another day at the Freak's house. I don't know why. I'm not even gonna edit this out. I think this is just hilarious. This is my life. Why? Why? I'll wait him out. That's Marley, and that's Keto. Those two are just retarded. Anyway, like I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted. As you can see here, it's Just crazy. So as you can see here, right? So there's a lot of metallics going on here, right? I had some options, right? I could have painted it solid colors. I didn't want it. I wanted a lot of metallics on here. So you can see the back of the ammo cans here, right? What feeds the rounds into the heavy bolters. Those are all jet exhaust mixed with chrome. And look, it turned out to be absolutely gorgeous. I did the same thing for the conduits that are feeding into the back of the heavy bolters. And they work perfectly. Now, as far as the servos on the sides of the legs, I left that jet exhaust. The jet exhaust, it's black with a metallic, so it gives it a little shine, and I think it turned out really good. So you can see the servos here on the legs. I think they turned out really good without being too bright. The same thing with the hydraulics on the hydraulic systems on the suits. You can see hydraulic systems on the arms, right, or around. Well, they actually help with the heavy bolters, and also with the feet. So you've got the cylinders and the pistons, right? Those of you who are familiar with hydraulic systems, so you've got the cylinder, which is the outside. The piston is the thing on the inside. You'll see these on construction equipment, backhoes and tractors and all that, where, hydraulic fluid is pushed from the bottom side and pushes the piston out, and then you pump that hydraulic fluid back out of the cylinder, and the piston retracts. And that's basically how you have movement on a piston. I've worked on hydraulics, so yeah, I know how it works. But I wanted to emulate how these hydraulic parts looked, and that's what I wanted. I wanted the outside of the cylinder to look kind of weathered because, of course, they're exposed to the elements, while the inside of the piston looks pristine because it's supposed to be. As a piston goes in and out of the cylinder, right, it's clean because there's a wiper and there's oil, there's hydraulic fluid inside, and that allows that to retract and expand and all that, right, and extend rather. And that's exactly what I wanted. So you can see how there's the actual piston itself is bright, chrome looking, while the outside looks like it's been exposed to the weather. I used that same mixture of the jet exhaust with the chrome to paint the exhaust pipes here, but I took a little bit of Gaina's gold, mixed with some bronze, and I dry brushed these suckers to give it a little dirtier look, and I went back with black and I dry brushed the tips, just the tip. As well, to give it a sooty look, right? I used the chrome for the back symbols here and on the joints, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, you can see the wings and the skull a lot closer, a lot better how it turned out. Again, I'm very, very happy how these guys turned out. Here's a top-down view, the same models. Loved how these turned out. Again, what Kenny Boucher always tells you to do is you take it up to an 11 and then bring them down to a 10, and that's exactly what I did. I had them very bright, very pronounced, and then I took some Vallejo gloss finish, and I airbrushed them, and I just glossed the crap out of these guys. Gloss. Dropped about 2-3 layers until I knew they were perfectly sealed. And that's exactly why I do it, because it seals the colors in. That way, if you're handling them or if they drop, they don't chip as easy, right? You've got a layer of protection on that. So that's exactly what I did. And so after a couple of layers of gloss finish, I went ahead and I took some Army Painter shade, and I just lathered the sucker all over. Let me go back to the backside because we can see it really well. It worked beautifully. Now, I've used Citadel's shades. Their washes. They're okay for pin washing. The only problem is that they stain. They stain really, really fast, while the army painter washes, they don't stain. They kind of flow. They flow really, really well. And I love how they're a little more of an oil based, I guess. And they're easy to handle. Okay. Wow. And so that's exactly what they did here. I covered the entire model. And you can see how it settles in perfectly, and it gives it a very good weathered look. You can see it. It just looks like they've been in service. It's just, you know, they don't look as pristine, or they just rolled. They don't look like they just rolled out the assembly line, right? These guys have been doing business for quite some time. Boom, business. So really loved how they turned out with the wash. That wash took it down to a 10, and you can see how it settled really nicely on the inside of the crevices and recesses. Get a better closer look. You can see how it just settles perfectly. Oh my gosh, I'm loving this. Totally geeking out how good these turned out. Yeah, so there you have it, man. I mean, they turned out really good. I'm super happy. Oh, so let me talk about the basing, right? So one of the things that I've always struggled with the basings, because I use a lot of cork. This is cork material. By the way, I've already painted the edges of the basing after these pictures were, put together. But so what the problem that I've had is, you've heard Wolf Brother Mythos talk about it as well, some of those other videos, is that cork is a very thirsty material, and a very flexible one as well. Very pliable, so that makes it porous and makes it difficult to get a nice, consistent, even surface. But I've always layered a lot of primer to try to seal that up. Just way too much primer to do that. It takes way too long. So I went ahead and did something different, and I should have done it a long time ago. I got some caulking, and I just kind of sealed the surfaces of the cork, and it's exactly what I did here. And it gives it more of this kind of stone shale look, right? And that's what I was looking for, without having to really. You could tell it's cork when it's cork, and I didn't want that. After I did that, I went ahead and I primed the entire base with the cork already on top. I primed it a dark brown, so it's smoky ink again. Primed it, and then I went back with a green. It's a matter of fact, one of my Hobby Lobby paints, like a light bright green, to give it that white, that their greenish mold that typically grows after it's rained a lot, right? So I dry brushed that all around the sides. Then I came back with a beige white, and I dry brushed that on. And I came back with the green again and put a couple of layers. So I went back and forth until I got to this. And I think it's turned out pretty nicely, minus the edge of the base, because that's already black. But yeah, so you can see here, it looks like, looks like shale, looks like, actual stone, instead of, oh yeah, nice painted cork. So yeah, so you can see it really well here. I think it turned out a little better than what I've had in previous. Just looks very crumbly, very stone. Anyway, still working on that, learning my technique. The only thing that I am disappointed in, and I'm gonna just flat out point it out to you guys. See, I drill all my barrels on all my weapons, every one of them. Of course, the heavy bolters were already came pre-drilled or open or whatever. You just kind of assemble it, and they already had the barrels open. But the hurricane bolters on the chest plate of these Centurions were not drilled. And by golly, I was going to have them drilled. I'm going to drill them, dog it. Yeah, didn't work out on one of these guys. Oh, it made me so mad. You start drilling, I got it down the center. No, you don't. And the bit pops right on the other end, and it just destroys that. So it kind of looks like the barrel kind of blew out. All right, I can live with that. So, battle damage. I don't know. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I think it's kind of compliment this guy because that's the look that I was going for. But actually turned out better than I think than my Redemptor. I like them. I really do. I like how they look. Perhaps better than my Redemptor Dreadnought. So there you go, guys. That is my my showcase for my Centurions. Love how they turned out. I hope you like them. My next project is I'm going to be working on Arjac. That's right. I'm going to give some Space Wolf loving for Arjac, and I'm going to be painting him 13th Company colors for a good friend of the channel. And I can't wait to showcase that as well. I'm super stoked. It's going to be a great fun time. I'm going to get started as soon as possible. So I'm so excited, guys. Anyway, if you like this video and all the other videos that we have, then I would ask you to give us a thumbs up. Bing! And let us know what you think. Put some comments down below. Tell me what you like about the model. Tell me what you don't like about what I did with the Centurions. You know, perhaps there's something else that I could have added to it. Maybe give me some hints on some terrain that I could have used with the cork. Well, how can I make the cork look better? I could always use that. Let me know how you utilize cork within your terrain on bases. I think that would be amazing. That would help me tremendously. And yeah, so drop us some comments. Let us know what you think. Also, want to remind you that we have our Friday night live streams at 8:30 p.m. Central every Friday. We just have a good time. We just have a blast. Love to have you as part of the crew. We've got a lively chat. The same guys come on. It's just a good time. It's a good time. We hang out. We get to interact. You know, we don't just, Mythos and I don't just talk and just, you know, forget that they're there. You guys are there. We're just having a good time. It's a big party. We cover hobby news, hobby updates, anything that we've done hobby related. We also cover GW news. And of course, our very own Chaplain Emo does a debut every Friday night as well. It gives us the word of encouragement. He's a pain in the butt. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Look forward to seeing you guys on our live stream, and check out our channel. Also, give a little love to us if you can find it within your hearts on a Patreon page. Go check it out. See if there's something you'd like there that you're willing to donate. Guys, you know, you can go from as much as $1 to as much as $100. We don't care. Whatever you want to donate. By the way, you can see it. Yep, see that? You can see the reflection. Those are the light rings that were purchased with the help of the donations from our friends in the Patreon page. You guys have really helped us out. You're making our channel look better. It's because of you and your generosity that's allowed us to do this and making this look so much better, so much cleaner. And again, we cannot tell you enough how much we appreciate it, both Mythos and I. So we both got one. It's a dual lighting system, and they look great, and it just makes it look really good. Anyway, thank you so much. If you want to donate, that's great. If not, it's okay. Come by anyway. Hang out with us. Hang out with us and chat. You know, we'll talk about whatever. You know, it's a great time. We got some you know, regulars there. We got some new people that show up as well. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. And as always, stay frosty.